fossil fuels, and we are going to start with the pros. Please welcome them.
Hello, I'm Lindsay. This is Thomas, Pyra, and McKenna, and we have the benefits of fossil fuels. Despite having only 4.4% of the world's population, the United States uses the most amount of energy at 17% of the total available energy on Earth. 81% of this energy comes from fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and natural gas. Fossil fuels are formed when plant and animal remains are buried deep under the ground and exposed to extreme pressure and temperatures. Fossil fuels were first introduced to humans in 1000 BC, but did not become popular as an energy source until the mid-18th century. When considering whether to invest in fossil fuels or in renewable resources, there are many factors. Investors should fund fossil fuels because of their efficiency, environmental reforms, everyday uses, and economic impacts.
Good morning. My name is Logan Goodwin.
I am Cole. I'm Jared Tyree. I'm Hunter Isabella.
I'm Cole Bashir. Me and my colleagues are here to talk about the cons of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, as you may know, include oil, coal, and natural gas. They are created due to heat, pressure, and the remains of dead animals and plants.
A group of wealthy investors is considering whether to fund the expansion and mining of fossil fuels or to consider funding an alternative energy source. We hope to provide insight on four different topics: mining issues, pollution, fossil fuel related tragedies, and health effects.
Fossil fuels are by far the best and most efficient source of energy, not only in the US, but all over the world. They are so efficient that the EIA predicts that fossil fuels will be responsible for 80% of the world's energy in the year 2040. Going back in time a bit, we have been using fossil fuels as a primary source of energy since the Industrial Revolution. Newer energy capturing mechanisms such as solar panels and windmills will not work if the conditions are not right. For example, a windmill cannot generate energy if the wind is not blowing. However, fossil fuels can generate energy no matter the condition. In conclusion, fossil fuels are needed to power schools, homes, and cars. Energy is needed to power schools, homes, and cars, and fossil fuels do more than deliver.
Blue Creek Mine in Alabama is known as the deepest mine in the U.S. It is over 175 stories deep and is still going down. It is becoming extremely dangerous to get fossil fuels from the earth because it is becoming limited and it is deeper and deeper. $120 billion a year is spent to mine, and it is increasing due to the limited sources and need for mining work. Deaths are becoming more and more common due to the factories in this. 49 died from a coal collapse in 2006. 29 died in underground gas explosion in 2010.
It is important to fund fossil fuels to continue to perfect ever-changing methods that are being used to lessen the negative impacts to the environment caused by fossil fuels. It is a well-known problem that fossil fuels are harmful to the environment. However, the EPA is working on finding the best way to decrease these impacts. Combustion of fossil fuels is the leading source of carbon emissions in the United States, with 40% of those emissions coming from the burning of fossil fuels at power plants. Carbon capture and storage, or CCS technologies, filter out carbon emissions and other harmful materials so that they may no longer impact the environment when fossil fuels are burned. In fact, it has been proven that when using CCS technologies at power plants, emissions have been reduced by 80 to 90%. In addition, the carbon dioxide that is released and captured when burning fossil fuels can be used as its own source of energy, making it even more efficient to use these methods. In conclusion, fossil fuels should be funded because reduction of carbon emissions due to CCS technologies makes them more environmentally sound.
According to the Environmental Protection Agency, 65% of global greenhouse gas emissions in the world are made up of carbon dioxide using fossil fuels. greenhouse gases. Also, most of air pollution is caused by the burning of fossil fuels. As you can see from the picture up there, this person who's located in China is wearing a mask to protect itself from the smog in the air. CO2 emissions cause smog as it is very harmful to the environment and can make breathing difficult for humans. As you can see, fossil fuels is very harmful to the environment and it causes pollution and global warming.
Investors must fund the manufacturing of fossil fuels because of the benefits they provide to Americans' everyday lives. Many people know that fossil fuels are used for energy, but people use them for so much more. Fossil fuels are used to fuel vehicles, airplanes, and other ways of transportation such as steam locomotives and boats. Fossil fuels are found in products such as lubricants, antibacterials, toothpaste antioxidants, rectal suppositories, soaps, shampoos, deodorants, concrete, and many more things. In conclusion, fossil fuels must be funded rather than an alternative source because fossil fuels supply more products for everyday usage.
As it was said before, burning fossil fuels creates carbon emissions, which can also create smog. This smog contains many harmful chemicals that, when are put into the body, can cause many life changes and deadly. The carbon emissions contain many dangerous chemicals, including sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, and the deadliest carbon monoxide. When these get into the body, they can cause cancers, heart diseases, lung diseases, and even the life of reduced life expectancy. As you can see in the photo of the X-ray, it is an X-ray of lungs affected by carbon emissions.
The United States must invest in the use and production of fossil fuels due to the significant impacts that fossil fuels have on the United States economy. Coal was the first of the fossil fuels to go into widespread use, displacing low-energy firewood as the leading source of energy in the United States. This triggered the country's industrialization in the second half of the 19th century. The fossil fuel industry makes an estimated $700 million per year on coal alone. Not only do fossil fuels power cars and airplanes, but they are the key ingredient in tens of thousands of consumer products. Fossil fuels also provide massive amounts of jobs in the United States, as displayed in the image above. There is a great deal of evidence to back up the decisions of investors to fund fossil fuels rather than an alternative source because of the numerous impacts that fossil fuels have on the United States. Therefore, the United States keep their rank as the wealthiest nation in the world.
Unfortunately, the mining and transportation of fossil fuels is very dangerous and accidents do occur. Primary example of this would be the oil rig Deepwater Horizon, which 7 years ago in 2010 exploded, killing 11 workers and injuring 17 others, polluting 1,100 miles of shoreline in the Gulf of Mexico, and releasing 4,900,000 barrels, not gallons, but barrels of oil into the water. This bird above, as you can see, was found on a Gulf of Mexico beach, absolutely covered in oil. And it is important to remember that this is not an isolated incident. This is not one of only a select few. There have been many others ever since we first began to use fossil fuels as a major energy source.
In conclusion, investors should fund fossil fuels due to their efficiency, environmental reforms, everyday use, and economic impacts. Some may say fossil fuels pollute the environment. However, through environmental reforms, pollution can be reduced. To invest in fossil fuels would be the smartest investment.
In conclusion, the cause of fossil fuels that we've discussed today, including climate issues, pollution, major tragedies, and health issues, are causing many international inabilities moving forward. These difficulties have caused many hardships and disasters. see future ideas to create new innovations and technologies to overcome these obstacles?
As our scenario said, a group of wealthy investors is deciding whether to fund the expansion of fossil fuels or alternative energy sources. And considering the cons that we've discussed, we feel that it's best if they invest in the alternative energy sources.
Question for either side? Michelle?
I have a question for the con side. Through your research and the cons of fossil fuels, you just mentioned some alternative sources of energy. Was there a source through your research that sort of bubbled to the top that would be maybe a top contender for a great alternative to fossil fuels?
Nuclear energy is one of the biggest ones.
Right.
Thank you.